I'll jump right in. I am Cheryl Wilson Griffin, the CEO here at Legal Tech Consultants. And I have with me today the CEO of Dashboard Legal. And we're going to take a very interesting exploration through their upcoming white paper, where they went out and really surveyed the lawyer population about the challenges that they feel in their day-to-day, how they're spending their day, and then kind of Matt makes some conclusions on where we go next from that. And I think it'll be information that I found really interesting. In some cases, it really aligned with what I expected. In other cases, it shocked me. But all of it is very informative, I think, and will be great fodder for kind of everybody across the legal spectrum. So Matt, would love to have you kind of introduce yourself and jump on in from there.
Sure. Yeah, so let's make sure this is working.
There you go.
There we go. These are your speakers. So hi, I'm Matt Rotenberg. I'm co-founder and CEO of Dashboard Legal. We are a productivity tool, matter management tool built for lawyers. We help lawyers get organized and collaborate. That's what we do. So just a little bit of background. I spent 7 years in private practice, big law, worked at Skadden, Aiken Gump, practiced M&A, was on the tech committee at both firms, looked at a lot of new tools. And where my focus really gravitated was on the day-to-day, really the processes behind the legal work. How are we spending a vast majority of their time? That was really the kernel of Dashboard Legal, which was there's a whole new category of tools that our clients are using, which is project management, the Asanas of the world, the Monday.coms of the world. But lawyers, at least in my anecdotal review, were using email. So when we set out on this mission, we really wanted to see, okay, what are the benefits of these project management tools and how could they be applied to lawyers to improve their workflow? Over the past 3.5 years, we've learned a lot. And one of the things that we've done now 3 or 4 times is actually ask lawyers. We poll lawyers. We have an incredible resource available to us to get lawyers to respond to surveys and other, kind of other poll questions that we have to just find out more. How are you working today? What tools are you using to get organized, to get your legal work done? And then what are your biggest pain points? So, I found Cheryl, I don't know how long ago, through her work in the legal tech community, her incredible work furthering the priorities of our community. And we really sought out to create a new version of this white paper that really kind of asked 2 things. Really was, how are lawyers working today? What are their pain points? And then how did they view project management? Those that had never used the tool, that were using the tool, are using the tools, and what benefits did they and could they derive from it? So that's just setting the stage a little bit for the background on the white paper that we are going to release next week.
Right, exactly. I was going to say, so white paper's coming out on Tuesday next week. Gotta wait for that. But there will be lots of great facts and statistics in there, many of which we're going to cover today. So let's jump right in, Matt.
Sure. Yeah. So as Cheryl and I were working on the white paper, we came up with a survey. It was 12 questions on really the categories that I outlined a moment ago. But then we started thinking, the responses we were getting were so intense, some of them, that we wanted to know who else is asking these questions. Are law firms really asking their lawyers about their current technology needs and really what they need to get the job done to make their lives easier and their connections more rewarding? So we ran a second poll and we only asked one question, and we got 5,700 lawyers to reply. I mean, it was incredible. And 83% are never polled on their technology usage. No one asks them. And I think there's a variety of reasons. I would love to know, Cheryl, your thoughts on why they're not being asked. I have my own kind of assumptions about it, but this was particularly shocking, and I think reinforces the value of asking lawyers what they need, and which will lead into the next few slides.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's when, I knew the answer was going to be yes, right? When you proposed it, I was like, yeah, definitely. That'll be an interesting question to ask. I knew it was going to be yes, but I thought it'd be like 53% or something like that, right? Just in my own experience, having been in the role where I'm buying technology on behalf of lawyers, I know that we haven't been great at asking them, like, hey, what is it that you feel like you need? Where are your pain points in your day? It's just not something that we've done. And then when you think about the larger community as a whole, you go to ILTACon, maybe 1% of the lawyers, 1% of the attendees are lawyers, right? But we're having conversations all around them about what they need and what they should be doing. And so I really thought your idea of this, asking this question, should give people pause, and should the people who are buying the technology should really stop and think, do I need to be having a couple more conversations with people?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point in separating the buyer in legal technology from the end user.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that CIOs and KM teams and other professionals that are in charge of kind of acquiring technology, they see themselves as gatekeepers, and rightfully so. Their lawyers need to be doing the work, and getting inundated with a new tool seemingly every day is a distraction, and also inhibits the CIO or CKO's office from actually doing their job, which is to review and assess technology for the best possible use cases beyond just like the shiny new thing that their lawyers see. So I completely get it, and I hear it over and over again. But what I think has happened is there's been a delegation to the tech committee or to a handful of lawyers in the firm, or even just the CTO or CIO, to make those decisions exclusively based on anecdotes, based on what they think, based on a handful of conversations. When if you actually ask the lawyers, they're saying something different. And I think we referenced AI, and there's no doubt in my mind it's going to change the legal industry, but it's actually not what lawyers are asking about today, in terms of like what their main pain points are and what the potential solutions could be. So this is our starting point. Let's get back in. Okay, so the overview for today, and we're going to get through this pretty efficiently, is some of the data points, how lawyers are spending their day, what they report as their main pain points, the current usage of certain technologies, certain tools, both from a purchasing standpoint of law firms and then from the end user standpoint of actually using these things, our point of view on what it means to build project management for lawyers, and what we found in our 3.5 years of business works both within the legal community and then zooming out and taking some data and analysis from other professions about how you build something tailored to a specific vertical or workflow. And then we'll end with a few questions. And we're actually going to start with our methodology here. So we got 555 lawyers to reply to our 12-question survey. And the breakdown was pretty even. Most are law firm lawyers, a handful in-house, pretty evenly split between how large these organizations are, and then also pretty evenly split between seniority level. Anything you want to jump in here with, Cheryl, on kind of the methodology?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that I think was really interesting and a great indicator of something that I always believe to be true and advise people on is really when you're looking at adoption and the use of technology, you're looking for those folks in the middle of the law firm, right? So you're looking at mid-level people, whether they're junior partners, senior associates. Those are the folks that are in the thick of the work every day. They feel the pain, right? And so when you can deliver a solution to them, those are the folks that adopt it first. And so I love seeing that those are the folks that were actually drawn into this. They clearly have a voice and opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right about that. They're the ones in the trenches. And, partners, I think, are absolutely interested in improving efficiency for their lawyers, but they have a different set of needs. When we talk to partners, they just want to know what's going on, who's doing what. And how can tools deliver that information, versus the mid-level? It's just more about the day-to-day grind and how we can address that. So I think we got a good split here, and it'll provide some data for our audience. First questions were about how lawyers are spending their day-to-day. And we actually ran a pretty significant survey last year, which was breaking down how much time lawyers are spending in their inbox versus DMS systems versus Microsoft Word versus collaboration tools. And 66% of the day is in the inbox exclusively. It's an astonishing amount of time to get the work done in the day-to-day. So we wanted to expand on that statistic and ask more questions about that. And let's start with billable work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, when we look at billable work and we think about lawyers only billing about a third of their day, right? Their 8-hour day. That doesn't mean that they're going home at the end of the 8 hours and saying, well, only billed 2.5 hours today. maybe tomorrow will be better. You don't get to 2,000 or 2,600 or 3,000 hours a year doing that, right? That means in order to get to that 8-hour billable day, they're working 12 or 15 or God forbid more hours than that, right? So that's time they're taking away from their family. That's time they're not working on other matters that might be interesting to them. That's time where they're not doing other things. And it's not benefiting the firm. It benefits absolutely nobody.
Right, right. And I think expanding on that a little bit, it's what are those non-billable tasks that are happening in their day? I mean, they're not just sitting there reading a book or twiddling their thumbs. They're doing something, but most of it is just shuffling and filing and pinging and other things that they either don't record, or it actually isn't billable work. It's organization work. And so, I think that a big goal of these new category of project management tools is to lower the administrative burden of non-billable work and really let that kind of, I think some people call it the creamier work, but like the surface level, amazing kind of analysis and counsel work that lawyers were trained to do and enjoy doing. And that's really the goal of these tools. So expanding on that email statistic a little bit, what are they doing in email? Well, they're recalling information, that's searching and sorting. It's task management. An enormous amount of lawyers are using email for task management, either as marking something unread or searching it, thinking it in their mind, kind of using it with the handwritten notes, whatever their tool is, gaining context, and then just responding to pings from partners and clients. So they're using email to do a lot here. And then
Matt, does that jive with your experience when you were inside the law firm as well?
Absolutely. Email is the primary tool. Yeah.
It's where everybody is. If it doesn't happen in email, it probably didn't happen.
Yep, exactly right. And it's easier in the moment. You can always just search or mark something unread and it comes in as the top of your inbox, you ship it out and you forget about it. But when you want to zoom out, when you want to see what's going on, the only tool you have is that search bar. Or if you're a filer, to pull it up and then you're not confident in, did I pull everything in? It's just this cycle of dealing with it easier in the moment, but not getting any benefits in the long run. So that's,
And then finally, Teams, one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, Teams. I mean, Teams has become probably the most prominent and ubiquitous tool that's deployed in some capacity across organizations all across the world. And the numbers are in the hundreds of millions of users. But what was interesting about Teams usage is that for lawyers, only about a quarter are using it for anything other than video and chat. Teams has essentially replaced Skype and Jabber of our prior generation, and that's what they're using it for. You drop a lawyer in Teams, they know how to use video and they can use chat, but it's become very clear that they're not really using it for anything else, which was really interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's been my experience too. I was involved in a rollout of Teams at my last firm, and even trying to customize channels to make it practice centric and really matter centric, and just deciding how do you govern different pieces of information? How do we make sure things get backed up? How do we make sure things get into DMS? Nightmarish. There's no universe on earth where lawyers are using Teams to manage things on their day-to-day. And if you're one of those people, for God's sakes, call Matt or I, because we want to do a scientific study.
We want to learn about you.
Right. We want to study you. We want to learn more about your habits, because it's just, I talk to tons and tons of teams and they say, oh yeah, I use Teams every day. Great. What do you use it for? Well, I do my video conferencing, I chat.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so legal tech buyers, stop telling us that you're using Teams for everything, because your users are not, your lawyers are not. Yeah.
Right. And that configuration and setup is a big deal. And I think when we transition towards the end of this webinar and what it means to actually build for lawyers, that configuration piece, that clutter piece, that is the differentiators between what Microsoft has today for lawyers and what being built for lawyers, to gear towards adoption actually means in practice. So, next, what we wanted to really ask our lawyer audience was, what's your biggest pain point in your day? Like, what is annoying to you? What do you struggle with every single day that contributes to the astronomical unhappiness rates in the legal
Right.
profession. And if you take a look at the list, I mean, what jumps out to me is, um, it's really things that have to do with project management. Lawyers don't necessarily know that term, but that's what these things are: tracking the moving pieces, task management, scheduling, pinging. Like, this was an open-ended question, and a vast majority, like almost 90 some percent. I mean, maybe you include the inbox, maybe you don't, but that's project management 101. Anything else jump out to you here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think your point is a really good one. And I think if you happen to be a legal tech buyer and you're thinking about lawyers, I think one of the things to that's really important to note here is no, the project management word does not appear in here, right? But that doesn't mean that they're not asking for project management. They want their lives to be better, and these are all project management things.
Exactly. Exactly. And then this kind of gets echoed in the next question we asked, which we wanted to see if it would correlate, and it pretty much did. I mean, their biggest fears have to do with making mistakes, things slipping, missing deadlines, client communications, partner not knowing what I'm doing, the budget overruns. I'm guessing this is the kind of more partner audience of the respondees. But again, the biggest pain points and biggest fears are all around this category of matter management, project management. It's not really, how can I create a document with AI? It may be those things in the future, or how can I use AI to edit my work product? But today, right now, it's the process, and that's really what the data showed.
Yeah, it's a little like Pavlov's hierarchy of needs, right? Like if you can't even manage your tasks appropriately, it's kind of hard to get to that next level where you can be thinking about those higher level things that you can do. But the
Yeah.
thing that jumped out at me with this is these are all risks, right? These are
Yes.
reputational risks. These are partners losing a client risk. This is the firm getting sued for malpractice risks. These are risks that have actual monetary value. Like this isn't esoteric.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Get organized, de-risk. Like those are the basic lawyer needs today. And I think that's
Right.
echoed in how they responded. So a word here, because we keep throwing around the word project management, and there's a term of art called legal project management, which has taken on its own meaning in our legal tech world and among law firms, which is really the budgeting and planning and kind of macro viewpoint of a matter, and how you kind of hit those benchmarks along the way. When we talk about project management for lawyers or matter management, we're really honing in on the end users day to day. Like, how are they managing the moving pieces? How do you make sure things don't slip? How do you coordinate with others to get things over the finish line efficiently? That's related to legal project management and kind of the macro billing and deliverables. But what we're talking about is more the micro. I would love to hear, Cheryl, you put that into words as well.
Yeah, no, well, I think it's such an important point, and it's something that I think, I'm a PMP. I have been for a long time, and I've watched LPM kind of come into its own and kind of develop its own thing. And I think it's definitely a worthy practice. I think, but the challenge is it really puts the client at the center of what we're trying to accomplish, right? And that's obviously worthy. That's what we're trying to deliver, where the outcome is about the client. But how we get there is about the individual's experience, right? And so I think this concept of focusing our project management activities on the lawyers and how they get things done, in the end, gets us to the same outcome for the clients, right? It gets us better client service. It gets us, more efficient, more effective, hopefully more on budget, as well as better lawyers that have more time to think about your higher level needs, right? So I think it's the same practice, but with a different focus.
Yeah, I think that's really well put. It's who's the focus? Is it on the client billable requirements, or is it on the end user lawyer who needs to get the work done? And that's really where project management for lawyers comes into play, and really links up with the fears and pain points that we discussed. So now that we have this baseline of what lawyers are saying they need, what their pain points are, what they're using kind of to manage projects today, we wanted to dive in deeper into this actual segment, project management for lawyers, or matter management. And what lawyers are using today, and these were also in our poll results, is predictably it's email. That's what they're using to do these things, to manage the moving pieces, make sure things don't slip, and track who's doing what. That's what they're using. They're using email. Some are also using Excel spreadsheets. A lot are using their mind. I'm surprised this number isn't higher. And
I'm surprised by that too, because I'm like, I think most people are just using their mind.
yeah. I think some people could have interpreted the question as exclusively, and so then
Right.
saying, okay, well, no, I use email. So, but yeah, it's really email, and then it's Microsoft Word checklist. I think every big law lawyer on earth knows what the Microsoft Word checklist process looks like, and spending time trying to format those things is like there's something just so painful about trying to format a checklist in Microsoft Word. And we heard that in the pain point slide too. And then only about 20% are using a tool like Monday or Smartsheets or Asana or even Microsoft Teams for project management. And given the amount I hear about kind of Smartsheet and Asana and people like having 4 or 5 seats, I was surprised that this number wasn't a bit higher, but I guess it tracks with kind of our other data that they're just not using project management tools today.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. And I had Asana at a firm I worked with. When I came in, it was already rolled out. And when I did an analysis of who was using it and what they were using it for, it was something a lot. I think we had licensed almost the entire set of lawyers. It was bought specifically for the lawyers. I think our usage was about this big, and the people who were using it were actually vehemently using it. And what were they using it for? Task management.
Yeah.
Just they're like keeping their to-dos in shape instead of doing it in Word. And so we moved them into a different tool, but it just, when we talked to them about why weren't you using it since you've had it now, a year plus, they said, well, we weren't equipped to figure out how to set it up and configure it and get it into the shape that we needed it to be in for matters.
Yeah.
It's like that's the core problem with some of these more generic tools.
Exactly. The goal is right. The benefits are there for the taking. But what I think we've learned is that you have to build it for lawyers. If you just give them a generic tool like Microsoft Teams, there's too much in there and they don't know how to set it up, and they're not willing to do it because there's a lot of risk involved in new things. So they go back to email. So I think that's a nice tie into, well, let's do one more data point on the current kind of usage of these project management tools. And that's really in this other category, or project planner. Only 14% of firms have purchased a standalone project management tool. That's low, considering the potential benefits and the need, which is so strong. I don't know a single CIO or CTO or knowledge management professional, even lawyer, that hasn't heard or articulated a project management need. Yet there's a lot of green space here. They're really not purchasing. I think people are kind of waiting to see if Teams solves the problem. But yeah, that's the data today. About a little more than a third of lawyers have actually tried or used a project management system, and 2/3 of those found it to be helpful in some capacity.
I think this is really interesting data too, because if you think about this 14% of firms that have a PM system, certainly more firms than that even have project managers, whether it's LPM or project management office. So even beyond the lawyers, what are those teams using? Do we have kind of those teams using Excel, for God's sakes? Like, what a terrifying concept.
Yeah.
So it's just being overlooked, I think, entirely at all levels, it appears, based on the data we're seeing.
Yeah. And this number is also echoed by a report that Caroline Hill came out with. She's got a great publication out of London, and she polled, Am Law 200 firms plus UK 150 or whatever their survey is, and got to the same number at 14%. So,
wow.
I think there, like with any new technology, especially in legal, you see a shift. You see this kind of curve of adoption, and where LPM was even a decade ago, I think has grown, and I think we're probably going to see the same thing in project management for the end users. So now coming to the meat of it, if we understand that the pain is there, and we understand that it can help, which, by the way, 2/3 of lawyers said it could help, but from the massive amount of data that we have from other industries, sales, engineers, marketing, space shuttle builders, whatever the category is, they have universally found and reported that project management tools help them get the job done, help them manage the moving pieces, make sure things don't slip, and track who's doing what. Every professional needs those things. And so these other professions have gotten their tool, Salesforce for salespeople, Jira for engineers, and report incredible benefits. That's the goal. And the way that they've done it is by building for those industries. And
Right.
so what we've taken on as a company, and in this white paper as well, is how do you capture these benefits for lawyers? And it really broke down into kind of 10 or 8 broad categories. And we'll just chat through them really quickly. So the first is the most obvious. It has to be purpose driven for lawyers. And for us, that means like the nomenclature. What are you calling your workspaces? Is it called a client board and a matter board? Or are you calling it a channel or something else? Are you using the taxonomy that lawyers are used to, which is, it's a client, it's a matter. These are the matter codes. This is how it's set up in my document management system. This is how my team is organized. This is how I work as an individual. The taxonomy, nomenclature, setup, all has to match what lawyers think and know and are familiar with. And that goes such a long way. So I think, the purpose-driven is really important and why we put it first.
Yeah, and I'll give you a very specific example. When we attempted to roll out Teams for Matters, I actually had to make basically a translation or a legend where it was like a channel equals a matter. And it was insane. And so now what do I expect an attorney to have the legend open while they're trying to work and say, oh, well, I guess I should put this here because Cheryl's legend says this equals this. So that it sounds dumb that the words need to match up, the nomenclature needs to be recognizable, but it actually it increases the speed at which they can move through things intellectually if it's recognizable. So I think it's really important that it align with what they expect to see.
Absolutely. And also just the starting point, if you run into problems day one, they're going to turn it off and they're not going to use it again. So it's got to like feel purpose built for them. Oh, this thing understands me, not in just like crazy revolutionary ways, but very simple ones. And that's really important. And I think the kind of general market tools just miss it. The second here is something that we've spent a lot of time learning, and it seems obvious in hindsight, but it was some painstaking growing pains for Dashboard Legal, and I assume other kind of legal tech companies as well, which is, how do you build something for one person? How do you get that one person to get value out of your tool so they can build on some early success and then receive more benefits after that? Now, everybody can look at a project management tool that's completely built out where everybody knows what's going on, but nobody wants to advance the institutional priority of the firm. I mean, maybe they do theoretically, but ultimately everybody wants to know, how can this thing help me? That is the question that you need to answer. And I think by gearing a project management tool around an individual, getting them some benefits where they could use it alone, where they have some roll-up views that serve as a personal task management system, has been absolutely key for us to get users on board in the initial rollout.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I think this is still kind of a developing concept. It's something I talk to folks about all the time, is the idea that yes, I mean, we're all altruistic and we want to take our organization's goals forward, of course, right? But I think this is where LPM falls down a little bit, because the whole goal of it is about serving the firm. You know what I mean? In the end, it's the firm's goal. We want to be on budget for this client because it makes us look good, right? But it's not about you, the lawyer. And so I think when you don't find a way to find value right away, it becomes less important to you. And then I think the second thing is, there's a lot of tools on earth in the project management space and in other spaces where, in order for you to get value from it, everyone else has to be there, right? And if that's how your system is designed, that's that, unless you're maybe Sam Altman, at OpenAPI, and maybe not, I don't know, we'll find out. But unless you have this bonkers tech, that's probably not going to be the way that it starts, right? It starts with one person, one drip becomes the pool, becomes the lake, becomes an ocean, right? And so where you can allow people to start task management, and that's what I saw, the people who were using and loving Asana, they were like, this makes my life better because I know what I need to get done, right? So if you can start there, if you can deliver that, you're halfway won.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Bridging the gap between the promised land and where they are today.
Right.
There's a promised land when everybody's using it. Everybody gets
Right.
to see the real-time information. Exactly. And everybody's happy. You don't need to be pinging people constantly, but you have to think about how you get them there. And that's individual centric approach. It's also building for each persona, building for an associate. What does it mean to build for a partner? That's another kind of key learning in our journey as a project management tool was how can we build something for associates, but also build in the same tool something for partners. And focusing on the individual and kind of trying to elegantly tie it together is really the key that unlocked a lot of adoption for us.
Can you talk just a tiny bit about maybe an example of where you did that, where you have a feature that maybe serves a partner and a feature that serves, an associate at the same time?
Yeah, sure. So the way that our tool works is it's organized into matter boards, client matter boards, and has kind of a team-centric view where you can have your checklists, your iManage NetDocs documents, chat, kind of all these team features. But for the associate who's managing all the moving pieces, it was about improving the checklisting process. How can we make it more fluid, add filters, export, roll it up into nice reporting? The partners, though, they were not engaging with the tool in the same way. And that's predictable. I don't know any partner who's really diving into any tool. They're kind of just sending directions from their phone. That's how most partners are working. So what the partner use case is, they're all seeking to answer a version of the same question, which is, I have 30 seconds to get up to speed. I need to just know who's doing what. Like, what's the latest on this one client or this latest on this one matter? So what we've done is we've taken kind of the value proposition for associates, which is just managing the work. How do we make sure things aren't slipping? But then rolling up that information into this partner snapshot view where they can just get a quick idea of who's doing what's the latest on the matter. And in that way, we're kind of gearing the tool towards both personas, but they're interlinked. They really rely on each other.
Yeah, and I love it. And no one has to do anything extra. That's the thing. When somebody has to do an extra thing, that's when it falls down, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Wonderful.
All right. So closing out this, what does it mean to build for lawyers? We'll get through these pretty quickly. So integrations, you can have 1,000 integrations. Monday.com, I think, brags to have over 1,200 integrations. They don't need it. There's clutters the screen. There's too much to do. It's overwhelming. They're going to shut it down and go back to email. Be very focused and deliberate about what you're bringing into their UI. And for most lawyers, that's just their documents. It's their checklists. It's some sort of internal communication tool. It's not rocket science. It's just what they need and nothing more. It's about real-time transparency. Like, how do you build a system where people can know who's doing what, but not know too much, have walls in place, have their documents in the right place, but really building on that real-time view. That's what's sorely missed. Billables just look backwards. What's going on right now?
And I think too, when you have that real-time simplicity, or real-time transparency, I'm sorry. I always like to think about it in, push versus pull communication, right? So email is like you're pushing the information to them and they don't have any choice when to accept it, right? It's there, you've sent it to them and now they're stuck with it. Whereas, the idea of having a system where you can actually just go in and look at what's going on when you feel like it allows you to get up at 3 a.m, pour your cup of coffee before you go to the gym and say, so that's what's going on when you're ready, when your life fits it, when it's right for you. So I think that's something that I think we don't focus on enough, is the idea that we're not all the same. We don't all work the same. We have different workflows. We have kids, we have parents we're taking care of. We have different things we're taking care of. The idea of it being there and ready for you when you want it, I think is of amazing importance.
Yeah. And I'm certainly not waking up at 3 a.m. So props to you, Cheryl, for getting that workout before.
This is how I get stuff done. Yeah.
And then some of these things we've already really spoken about, which is simplified task management. How do you build that one-on-one system to get that one person some value right out the gate and get them off of email for the same process? There's a lot of value here that people see right away. Ease of adoption. That's going more towards the purpose-driven design. But yes, it's design, but it's also how do you onboard? How do you implement? What kind of system do you have in place to get them familiar, get them excited, and get them some early wins? Early wins are absolutely key. You need to find some champions who get early wins and then leverage that to the next level. So that all is only possible if it's easy to use and easy to adopt. This is so hard to do because I think when legal tech company, every company starts building, they got a lot of ideas and they get a lot of feedback. Everybody's got their own way of working, but the real sweet spot is how can you build it simple enough to accomplish a lot of different types of use cases and get them those early wins.
I think there's nothing harder than doing something simply, right? Like I went to this weird steakhouse in Royal Oak, Michigan, in the middle of kind of what you might call nowhere. And we had this just lovely steak dinner. Nothing was amazing. You know what I mean? There was no gastronomy, nothing weird. It was just really, really well done. And it was like, that was probably really hard to do, but it was so simple and it made such a difference, you know?
Yeah. It's that quote that's like, you want a 10-page paper? You want a 10-page paper? Give me an hour. You want a 1-page paper? You got to give me 10 hours.
Right. Exactly.
It's so, yeah, simplicity is the name of the game, but it's hard. Simple does not mean easy.
Right.
And then, integrated collaboration tools, kind of meeting people where they are and giving them the ability to speak in the same place as where their documents are, checklists. This is a point of view that we have. And then, multi-domain, can this adapt to different types of legal work and really focusing on the ubiquity of the tool and really building for a lot of different use cases, but also matching the way that lawyers work generally.
Couldn't agree more with all this. And I think these are the kind of advice that I think goes to any kind of legal tech tool, right? Not just project management, but I think these are things I've definitely seen inside your tool.
Yes, absolutely. So, that's it. We went pretty quickly. We shared some of our data, but most of our data, or almost all of our data, is going to be shared in the white paper that's going to be released next week. It's called The Verdict on Project Management for Lawyers. It's going to kind of show more about our methodology, the responses to our questions, and then dive into a little bit more of the analysis that we previewed today.
And that'll be released on social media. So follow Dashboard Legal, follow you, and that'll come through social media. And then if they're on your list, I assume you're going to be sending out to all of the folks on your list.
Yes, yeah. If you're interested in learning more or asking any questions about our data, about our results, or about how we're solving the problems, feel free to reach out, Matt with 1T at dashboardlegal.com. And you can find us on socials. But we're really excited about this survey. Cheryl kicked butt in helping us create it, and I think the results will add to the conversation, which is our goal.
Yeah, I think all of us in the project management community are excited to support kind of people getting information like this out. So we really appreciate you putting the energy into it. I don't see any questions at the minute, but any questions from the audience, hit the Q&A up. Otherwise, again, Matt with one single T at Dashboard Legal. And then we'll also be posting this to the Legal Tech Consultants YouTube channel as well. So if you had a friend who didn't get to come and watch it live, we'll have it there. And then we'll also have some clips on social media as well. All right, looks like I don't see any questions. Matt, anything else? Any closing thoughts as we wrap up the session?
Yeah, I think my closing thought is that this is a journey. There's no foregone conclusion about the best way to build for lawyers or what we've done. We've taken an approach at Dashboard Legal, but I think as an industry, as a vertical, our goal is to show and deliver the benefits of project management. And it's important, and that mission doesn't end. Lawyers in the 60s and 70s were also looking for ways to get organized and collaborate. They're looking for it today. They'll be looking for it in the future. Whether AI, plays a big or moderate portion of that is the jury's out. putting a lot of new, very pointed AI capabilities into our solution. But we're looking for feedback. We're looking for people that want to build up this important piece of the puzzle. And so if that resonates with you, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Excellent. I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, thank you, Matt. This has been a really, really great webinar. And I think looking forward to the white paper next week.
Yes. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks for all.
Okay. Bye.